Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie.
Let's get into it.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode. What is this, 36, I think?
Maybe?
36, 37, maybe?
I think it is. I think I wrote 35 on the last one. I think it was 35.
Yeah, that's the only way. I know.
Oh, wow. We're at 35.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been doing it longer, but 35 is a lot.
Yeah. It doesn't feel much longer to me. That feels about right.
Feels about right?
Yeah. All right. Today we got red flags and green flags, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anything else to chat about before we get into it?
Well, I was wondering if you wanted to talk about you're doing your diet.
Oh, yeah.
You started your diet.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I don't want to call it a diet. I didn't start a diet.
They're always a diet.
It's always a diet.
Even when you eat normal, it's your diet.
Right. It's my diet. I've adjusted my diet slightly.
You've adjusted it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going back to Whole Foods, but with a couple of tweaks. So when we were doing the Whole Foods challenge before, the goal was Whole Foods. This time the goal is specifically fat loss. So even though I want to do that with mainly Whole Foods, I also adjusted it based on things that aren't necessarily Whole Foods, but do help with fat loss and do help with satiety. For example, artificially flavored like Greek yogurt, right? So like the Light and Fit vanilla zero, you know what I mean? Like that's included because that's going to help me meet my protein goal. It's not going to have the same effect that like Doritos and things like that have. So like high protein things I'm like including in it, like protein powder and shakes and stuff like that, but one a day. Like I'm putting on there, if you have protein powder, like once a day. So I made a guide that kind of is basically the idea of Whole Foods challenge, and it's like I did a red light, and I don't love this actually. I did like a red, yellow, green, yellow, red, right? And the green is unlimited. Eat as much as you want, seriously, like no limit. And then the yellow is, so this is the way I structured it. I did it, anything in the yellow category, try to keep the total from those things around 200 calories per day. So there are things like grass-fed butter, like even oil. Like I didn't put that in the unlimited list because that's one of those things that can add up quickly. Nut butters. So whole nuts are in the unlimited, but nut butters that are only nuts and salt are in yellow. So and a corn tortilla, which is just like usually just corn and like salt, or cornmeal and salt. So like things like that are very, the whole grain and sprouted bread. So if you choose to have like a slice of like Ezekiel bread, which is like 70 calories plus like some butter on it. And then like later you have some jam or some honey, things like that. The total is like around 200 calories. And then there's the red list, which is just like avoid these things. And then I also have some, like a caveat on there that is like 2 or 3 times a week, you can have one item from the red list, like one serving of one item on the red list. And so there's things on there like alcohol, cookies, cakes, whatever, but there's also white rice, white pasta, white bread, things like that. So I like the way it's structured because it builds in some of those things that I still want to be able to eat and enjoy, but severely limiting it without necessarily having to track everything. So I'll let you know. I think it's fine so far, other than it's really hard because my palate is very adjusted.
Yeah.
Oh, a high fiber tortilla, that's in the yellow list. So like again, like around 200 calories combined from those things. So naturally, you're not just going to be eating tortillas all day. Like if you want to have one, but balance it is the goal.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What do you think?
I like it. It's not the way I would do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I like it.
Yeah.
But I understand because you're trying to be in a deficit and it's hard to do that and not track.
Yeah.
So this helps with that.
Yeah. It also helps keep the whole idea of like 90-10. It kind of helps strike that balance without having to necessarily like hyper focus on it. And also the intent is like fat loss while eating like a ton of whole foods. So I don't know. It's like I felt like it was a good way to strike the balance. Plus, when doing the Whole Foods challenge, that for me is something I can only do short term because I love the high fiber tortillas. They help me eat a high protein breakfast. Like they help me eat things that I enjoy. Like I love like flavored Greek yogurt. Like that is something that like I really enjoy eating, like a big bowl of strawberries with like vanilla non-fat Greek yogurt, like things like that. So if I'm going to be doing this for 8, 10, 12 weeks, it needs to be sustainable. And those are things that I can do to make it sustainable while also meeting the fat loss goal, while also still eating like tons of whole foods.
Cool.
Yeah. So far it's fine. I think this is only day 3. I just entered into day 3. And so I haven't been perfect any day so far, but I haven't been very off base either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just usually it takes a little bit to get into it.
Yeah,
You know, you're
it
not going to be
does.
the first week. You can't be perfect.
Yeah.
So since you said you were going to do that this week, and you told me on Monday, Sunday, I don't know what day it was.
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet, but this week I decided I will prepare. So this week I am focusing on eating like the 85 to 90% whole foods, but not really caring how much food I'm eating. Just focusing on resetting that palate, which actually I haven't really been that bad, except for Valentine's Day I did have some chocolates. I did have some chocolates over the weekend
Yeah.
because they were on sale. We don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but I'm like, can you go get me some chocolate that's on sale?
Yeah. The good stuff.
The good stuff. Yeah. Especially the caramel, chocolate with caramel. I love chocolate with caramel.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I had some of that, but for the most part, I've been, eating mostly whole foods. But this week, yeah, that's what I'm going to focus on. And then I'm going to I'm going to track my calories because I actually want to get to a certain point. Every year, my goal is 120 pounds. That's
Yeah.
what I want to get to. Never get there ever because my body just refuses. Once
Yeah.
I get to 123 pounds, it's like, nope, we're done now. And it won't. I would have to drop my calories, not exaggerating, to probably 1,100 calories
Yeah.
to continue to see, my weight go down. So it just doesn't cooperate with me.
So what are you
And
going to
it's very
do?
frustrating. I don't know. So when I get there, we'll figure it out. I can decide, once I get there. Once I get to that
Yeah.
123, I'll probably be like, make that decision because I want to be leaner. I want to be able to get there, but it just doesn't cooperate with me and it's frustrating.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
thing is, it's interesting with like tracking calories and macros versus not tracking is no matter what you do. So this is where we talked about the word detox, like trying to take it back because it's just so like, I feel that way about the word restrict too. Like you do have to restrict some things. Like there's no world in which you can do this and then not restrict anything. Like, so whether you're restricting a food entirely or whether you're restricting yourself to an amount, because even if I'm going to include the things I love, like Velveeta and mac and cheese and all these things, in order to stay within the calories, you have to eat a very little amount of it. Or if you just have days off where you're not going to worry about the calories, you're just going to eat the things you like, then you have to restrict the amount of times that you do that, right? Like either way, you have to restrict something. So with this method of like so the benefit of tracking is that you can include anything and everything you want. If you grab an Oreo out of the pantry and walk away, that's all right because you just track that Oreo, no big deal. Work the rest around it. So like there's definite benefits to tracking. But you still have to restrict it. You can't eat like 10 Oreos. You can't do that multiple times in a day, like, or else you will be outside of the amount that you can see progress with. With not tracking, you really just kind of have to restrict yourself from certain foods entirely because of how calorie dense they are and not filling at all. And so there's going to be restriction at some point, but there's freedom in that I don't have to track everything. So like in tracking, there's freedom in I can eat these things. And in not tracking, but being restrictive in this way, there's freedom in I don't have to worry about like typing everything into my phone. So it's interesting because like you have to balance the restrictions and the freedoms and what you choose to do at any certain time.
I am okay with being restricted as long as I know it's not forever.
Exactly.
So as long as I know I don't have to do this forever, I can do it for a short period of time, no problem. It's when it's like, this is life now. You're stuck at 1,200 calories forever. Like, no, I don't want that. But I could do it for a short period of time and it's fine. And even like, I know, like you should not eat 1,100 calories. That's not something I should do. But if I wanted to try to get any leaner, I could always try it, for like a week or two and see what happens. I know.
Yeah. Even
I
that
know, because
sounds.
last year I was eating about 1,300 was what I got down to for weeks, and nothing happened. And I said, F it, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
not going any lower than this.
Yeah. I think
I'm
that's
short.
too why I like doing it this way, and I'm curious to see what will happen with it, because
Yeah.
when we did the whole food challenge the last time, which was not that long ago, it was like maybe a month ago, a couple weeks ago, something like that. I got down to the same weight that I was aiming for when I was tracking before.
It's funny.
So like it's like,
Yeah.
okay. I mean,
Yeah.
so
We'll
again,
see.
I don't think everybody should do it necessarily this way. I think tracking has huge benefit, but I think once you get to the point where you really understand nutrition, there's a lot to be said for managing your nutrition without necessarily
Yeah.
feeling like you have to track all the time.
Yeah. I'm going to still do it Whole Foods too. The same thing. Try to eat,
Mm-hmm.
like, give myself a limit to calories. I'll probably limit it to 200 still. So it's still going to be it's going to be a higher percentage than 90% of my calories. Um, but I have to give myself something, you know. I can't be
Mm-hmm.
perfect for 12 weeks, however long it's going to be. It's not going to be
Yeah.
it might be 12 weeks if I'm going to try to get down. I've been 125. I've been weighing myself regularly. I've been 125, 125, 125. Then all of a sudden this week, the last 3 days, it went up to 127. Like, why? Because it
Because you
knew I was going
started
to do a cut.
yeah,
It knew.
you
It knew.
started thinking about it. Knew. Is it the
It knew.
scale or is it the rest of your body?
My body was like, haha, joking, tricked ya.
Now we have 7 pounds to go, not
That
five.
would have been nice, right? 5 pounds. I could do that.
Yeah.
Do that, no problem. Screw you, body. I'm also changing my programming, so there's no point to do power building, right? That doesn't make a lot of sense. So this week is my last week of that, and then next week I'm going to do. So I decided I'm going to do athletic performance type training, because I'm not an athlete or anything, but I like to train like one sometimes, and I like that feeling of being athletic and all of that. So I want to do that. So I'm going to do triphasic training, like I was talking about in the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I think. So for that, I'm going to do a couple weeks of eccentric, focused lifts, and it helps with power, speed, all of that, and change of direction. So you could think of it as when so think about, like, if you're playing a sport and you're running in one direction as fast as you can, you have to plant your foot. Sorry if I got quiet because I moved away from the microphone demonstrating. And then you go and you have to
She's
change
literally
direction.
moving.
You have to change direction and go the other way as fast as possible, right? So being able to change direction. So the eccentric training, that helps you with, absorbing force. So that'll help you slow down and decelerate to stop. And then the next couple of weeks, I would focus on the isometric part, which would be the transferring of the force. So change, it would be like the in between the decelerating and accelerating. And for that, it would be, pauses, things like that, but also pushing against immovable objects. So I'm going to do a Bulgarian split squat with the bar like down below, like in between my legs. And then there's going to be pin, I'm going to have like the safeties up, and I'm going to try to, push up as hard as I can without moving because the bar is in my
Nice.
hands. So stuff like that, or pushing against the safeties, doing a bench press, stuff like that. So that would be the isometric part. Then the concentric is the explosive, part where you're going to change direction and accelerate as fast as possible. So that is, a deadlift would be a concentric lift, or a pin squat. So we talked about that on one of the episodes where, you stop at the safeties and you go up. Yeah. So I'm going to do that and then do a lot of power in between.
I'll be interested to hear how you like that. I was talking to somebody who, Jared Hamilton, does jujitsu, and he has a coach right now, a trainer who has him doing like triphasic training, essentially. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun, and I also like to learn to do stuff because, like, I like to learn how to do different things if I ever plan on teaching anybody else how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I definitely want, like my son's really young right now, but he'll eventually get to, like, if he continues to play football, I want to try to get him really good at football, and I'm going to try to get him really interested in it and good at it. And I think I can train him to be, decent at. I really do think you can train things and get better at it, even if you're not born super.
Oh, of course
athletic,
you can.
right?
Yeah.
And so I want to, train him to get better and everything. And so this will be, I want to learn how to do all this stuff too for that. And this actually, the other day, we were playing a game. So I turned everything into a game. Did you do that when you were a kid? My brother and I used to do that all the time. Like everything was a competition. We would turn everything to a game and a competition to make it more fun. So we had this like little stuffed animal. It's not like tiny. So the size of, one that would be hooked to your book bag as like a keychain, like not a keychain, but hooked to the book bag or something like that, kind of small. So the one that you could throw really fast and won't hurt if you get hit with it. Right. So I was playing a game with him where I would throw that at him, just whip it at him as fast as I could. And his goal was to move out of the way of it so it didn't hit him.
Kind of like dodgeball.
Kind of like dodgeball. Yeah. And if I hit him, I get a point. If he dodged it, he gets a point, and whoever got to 10 points would win. So we kept playing that game, and he definitely got better.
That's cool.
As we played longer. And then he tried throwing it at me. He barely hit me. Yeah, I was too quick for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that works on like that. The agility, because agility, I'm sorry, I get all excited about things.
I love
agility.
That.
Agility is a little different than change of direction. You do need to be able to change directions quickly for agility. But a lot of people think of agility, they think of like agility ladders or all these like drills, like agility drills. And that really, it does transfer a little bit over to agility on like the field, but it's not the same thing because it's pre-planned, where agility actually has to do with you responding to some kind of, outside thing that you don't actually know it's coming. So, when you're changing direction, you don't always know you're going to have to change direction. Someone's going to be coming at you, whatever. So by me throwing it at him and he doesn't know where it's going to be, that's more of agility because he has to think and then move.
It's like the ability to change direction quickly based on, like outside stimulus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a lot of Taekwondo, especially when we're doing like the sparring on the mat and stuff like that. It's like he's constantly telling you, you'll have just finished a kick and he's telling you the next one and you have to be able to jump right into the next one. Yeah.
Exactly. Stuff like that. Or like remember as a kid when you play red light, green light? Red light, green light, that kind of thing. That's more of agility training, being able to react quickly to things that you don't know are going to happen.
Yeah. That's cool. You should just like be a football coach.
I know, right?
You should.
No, I don't know enough about football. I've never played it before.
I'm sure you can figure it out.
If they had football, like now flag football is a big thing for girls. If they had that when I was in school, I would have been all over that. I would have loved that so much. That was my sport, but I couldn't play it because I was tackled,
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Right. Definitely let me know how that goes because I'm curious to see how you'll feel throughout it.
Yeah, and I put power in between, so I'm going to work out 5 days a week, but they're really short workouts. And power doesn't get me exhausted as much because I don't have to lift as heavy.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I just started my new program. It's easy so far. So
yeah, how are the overhead squats going?
They're good. I just did a very light the first week. So just remembering how to do it and all, but man, my shoulders, it always reminds me like my shoulders are tender just from holding that bar overhead.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine. We'll see what happens when I start loading it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never done those like loaded really heavy.
Yeah.
I've never had this was a program like that.
The most I did was 5 pounds on each side. So 55 pounds. Yeah. And obviously I can squat more than that, but I can even overhead press more than that, but holding it in that position it's very hard. It's
very hard because you have to have a lot of shoulder mobility to get that back so that it's
you do.
Yeah, so that your balance and everything.
Exactly. You need a ton of shoulder mobility, ton of shoulder stability, and then your squat form needs to be perfect. Yeah. And then your core needs to be, you need to really know how to properly brace and stabilize your core, because that motion of going down into a squat while the weight of the bar has to maintain a center line over your body, but your body's not maintaining center line over your body. You know what I mean? Like your chest collapses in a squat. And so it's like you have to shift the barbell to maintain that straight line. Yeah. So there's a whole lot going on in there.
Yeah. It's definitely a skill to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my last week of lifting heavy. So today I'm getting that squat back up there, but it's still not super heavy, but it didn't feel very heavy. Like I know I could definitely do a lot more. So that's a good sign. I did 155 by 3. So it wasn't that bad. And I didn't hurt at all. Didn't hurt my back at all.
Oh, good.
My back is still bothering me, but I can work out. Like the squats don't bother it. The first day I did squats, it hurt, but after every set, it started to feel better, almost like I was stretching it out. And then for 2 days later, my back had no pain. And I was like, I fixed it. I was able to do a squat. And then I deadlifted again. And I was like, nope, that wasn't it. I was all excited to deadlift that day too. Yeah.
You know what I can do?
What's that?
So I've told you before that in Taekwondo, we do 40 push-ups at the end of every workout. We do 40 push-ups, 20 leg raises, 20 crunches, 30 squats. And I always skip the squats because I'm like, this is dumb. It's just body weight squats. I'm like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
But for the 40 push-ups, when we were doing the push-up challenge, however long ago, 40 was what we got up to, right? Wasn't 40 what we got up to?
Yeah. And I don't remember what Kelsey did. I know it was, I think I got over 40. It was like 43. I don't know.
But hard and with like aching shoulders and
I ruined my shoulder.
Yeah. So we do 40 push-ups at the end, and I can do 40 push-ups, and every once in a while I can do 40 straight, but it's been like maybe twice that I've done 40 straight. Usually I get up to 30 and then I go into like a downward dog position for like 5 seconds, and then I come back down and pump out 3 more, and then I go into a downward dog and then I pump out 3 more, and I get to 40 that way. But the other day I went straight through to 40. I won't say the other day. It was like 2 weeks ago. I went straight through the 40, and I just assumed it was one of those off days. And it's been ever since then, 3 times in a row now, I've gone straight to 40 each time. And by 35, I'm like burning. I probably could. Yeah, wait, would you say beat you? Oh, 100%.
Yeah, you could probably beat me at
a 100%. 100%. No doubts. But that's pretty cool. Like 40 straight. And I'm talking quick. Like it's like boom, 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 like 40 push-ups like on the second. So that felt really cool that I'm like, all right, I'm like just repping these out now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I have to beat you because you can't just beat me like that. You know?
Okay.
We'll have to do that again.
Let's do it. Let's do it now.
Not now. Not when I'm going into a cut.
Okay.
Then I'll really ruin my shoulder.
Yeah, right. Anyway, all right. Red and green flags in finding a trainer, a coach, or even if you are starting a new program, right?
I just did red flags of like, don't follow this person, don't interact with this person.
Red flags in the industry, in the fitness nutrition industry.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So you're going to do the red flags, and then I have green flags, and we can add to each other's at any time. Definitely. Do you want to trade back and forth red and green flags, or do you do all red and then all green? Let's do all red and all green.
Oh, okay.
You were going to say the exact.
I was going to say back and forth because otherwise you're talking a lot and then I'm talking a lot.
That's true. All right, let's do back and forth, and maybe I'll have one that like goes along with yours.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
All right. Yeah. Go. Red flag number 1.
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Red flags?
I don't know why. Red flags feels like the more interesting one.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely more interesting. I'm glad I have the red flags.
It's not very fair.
Okay, so the first one is anybody who talks about exercises that will snatch your waist.
Ooh,
do these 3 exercises to snatch your Nobody's snatching your no, that's not going to snatch your waist.
Even going along with that, anything in particular, like for the fupa, for the bat wings under your arms, for bra fat, like any specific thing where it's like, do these exercises to eliminate blank. BS.
Dumb.
Super dumb.
The way to snatch your waist, I don't even like that term.
No.
Is you got to lose fat there. and doing exercises that target that area doesn't make fat come off that area.
Right.
So
there's one person on Instagram that will literally like put her arms out to her side and lift them a lot and be like, yes, do this.
With like or, no weights in them.
No, nothing.
Just
or she'll like,
and just she's move your arms.
Yeah. And she's clearly does more stuff with her own fitness routine than that. But she'll be like doing planks on the ground with some leg lifts and some crunches and be like, do this for your fupa. You're like, no, that's like, not how it works.
People who do that, it's like, you know, when you walk, you move your arms more than that. Like, what is this? Like, that's doing nothing, you know?
There was one where she had her arms hanging at her side and then she turned her palms to face behind her.
Okay.
And then she hinged, like slightly bent over and then pushed her hands like behind her.
Like a tricep.
And then pushed her hands towards the ceiling multiple times and was like, do this to get rid of all of the fat under your triceps and make them pop and look like you lift. And there's people like, oh my God, thank you so much. I just saved this. I'm going to start doing this every day.
That's like it's like a tricep kickback with no weight. And the tricep kickback is like my least favorite of all the tricep exercises.
Really? I like them.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not really in a stretch very much.
Not really.
No, it's not very effective compared to.
But you can pull the dumbbells all the way up to your shoulders and get a stretch, but you're not stretching it at like the, I don't know, insertion or origin. I don't know which one's which, but at that part. But I like them because they're like quick. I like to just hinge over and do like a double kickback. I like them.
I don't think they're very effective.
Well, my triceps are popping, so.
Yeah, they are.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
I guess that can go along with a green flag I have, which is a green flag in a program or trainer or somebody you want to follow at all would be any quick wins that they promise are not aesthetic. So whenever somebody's offering a quick win that is aesthetic, whether you're starting an 8-week challenge, whether you're hiring a trainer, if it's ever like lose 5 pounds in this amount of time or get rid of your bat wings or anything aesthetic as a quick win, like it's a red flag. They can all go hand in hand, right? Red flag, but a green flag are that the quick wins are not aesthetic. They're focused on mastering a habit or mastering a skill or learning how to lift properly or getting your fitness and nutrition routine in check. Like those are the types of things that should be offered as quick wins. Example of this is whenever I run a challenge, like a 6 or 8 or 12-week challenge, it's super easy to get caught up. Like as a trainer who's trying to get people to sign up for things, it's so tempting to be like, lose this amount of fat in this amount of time because it's everywhere. And because it gets people's attention, it snatches their attention, right? It's so tempting, but I refuse to do it because it is just not, some people might have that result and some people might not. And the point is you shouldn't be chasing that as a quick win. Your quick win should be mastering the skills and the habit changes and the lifestyle changes that you want to master so that those aesthetic changes come a lot easier down the line and that you can maintain them. Yeah.
That was one of my red flags is anyone that promises you'll lose X amount of weight in X amount of days or guarantees any kind of results, especially if they're extreme, any kind of aesthetic results like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's usually a red flag.
Total red flag.
Yep. Do you want me to do another one? Or do you want to go?
Well, I can say, so that one so a lot of these go hand in hand. So it's kind of easy to go back and forth. Yeah. Along with that, a green flag, so a good thing would be anybody that shows, and this again can be somebody you're following or a program you want to join or a class at the gym or a trainer you want to hire. Obviously, you're going to look at the results of other people that they've worked with, or you're going to look at their Instagram and look, they're going to post client wins and stuff like that. You want to see photos, examples, stories of multiple measures of progress. So if you're looking at and this goes along with the aesthetic changes. If you're looking at whatever they're advertising and all it is before and after pictures in bikinis or underwear, then that's probably a red flag. A green flag would be seeing pictures of people's form being changed. Maybe, one deadlift that looks like crap and another one that looks better, or a story that talks about how that person's mindset around fitness and nutrition has totally changed, or a picture that shows their A1C levels improving after what they've been able to apply. Like different multiple measures of progress that show things that are outside of purely aesthetics. Does that mean you shouldn't see aesthetic changes? Not necessarily, no, because a lot of people want those and those can be great to show, but you should see multiple examples of different types of progress measures. I think that that's a green flag. That's a good thing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have one that goes along with that. So I'm going to go with my next one.
Cool.
Anyone who talks about all the chemicals in food and dances around in the grocery store on Instagram and points out all the toxic food in the grocery store, especially if then they try to sell you their supplement that's like, buy this. Don't buy this and all the chemicals in here. Buy my supplement.
Yes.
Yeah, or anybody who demonizes whole foods, like just foods in general, but especially whole foods who like the other day I saw somebody who was saying that you shouldn't eat yogurt and fruit together because something about your digestion and blah, blah, blah. Like, don't anybody who's like saying there's certain foods that are just off limits, especially if it's some kind of whole food that's should be healthy, then don't listen to that person. They're probably not a good follow. They're probably not they don't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. That's funny that you say, because I'm thinking about that. Like, it's one thing to demonize anything, right? So if I even see you in a grocery store talking about how Doritos are bad, even that is like a turnoff for me, because you're missing so much context and so much nuance, and I don't like it. But if you're in there telling me why an apple is bad, like even less, like, okay, processed foods, again, there's a ton of nuance around it. But if you even open your mouth to try to say that any food that comes directly from the ground is inherently somehow bad or wrong, like carrots have too much sugar. Can you believe that?
Carotene.
Unbelievable. This person, we saw this reel of this girl flipping around like she was a ballerina in the store. I think it was to get attention and then pick up a thing and talk about why it was like.
And she recommended white carrots over yellow carrots because of the vitamin A in the beta carotene.
Dude, I could not even watch the whole thing. I was like, I can't. I'm just going to send this to Laura and then walk away.
Like, who? No, colors are good. Colors are
eat the rainbow.
Positive. Eat the
exactly.
rainbow. Yes, colors mean there's lots of good stuff in there. Don't recommend the white thing over the yellow thing. Not that the white thing is bad, or the orange thing. Why did I say yellow? I keep saying yellow. There are yellow carrots too. But,
purple too.
Yeah, purple. I like the purple ones. But anyway, no, don't listen to those people that say you can't eat this because of the phytates or whatever it is.
Yes. And that was going to go with one of my green flags. A green flag would be somebody or something that emphasizes whole food nutrition.
Yes.
Somebody can have a specific focus. So if you want to hire a trainer that does macros, sure, that can be fine. But you want to make sure that person emphasizes whole food nutrition, because you can track macros. There's so many coaches that I would actually say the majority of coaches are only looking at your macro numbers. They're not looking at the food you're actually eating, and they're never actually talking to you about how to make sure you're eating enough nutrients. They're only talking to you about how to get enough protein, and maybe they'll touch on fiber, and then they're telling you to manipulate your fats and carbs, but they're not talking to you about how to eat mostly whole foods and the importance of that baseline of nutrition. And even if somebody promotes a certain diet, even if somebody was like, oh, keto is the best and this is my experience why, if they're not emphasizing the whole food nutrition diet as the underlayer of that, like, there's an issue. There should always be an emphasis on whole food nutrition. And even if somebody is recommending macros or even some kind of specific diet. And then on top of that, obviously, if it's focused around supplements or shakes or any of that, that's obviously a no-go. So emphasizing whole foods nutrition is a huge green flag you want to look for.
So basically the green flags are us, is what you're saying.
The green flags is everything I do.
We're the green flags. Okay. All right. Red flag. A personal trainer who doesn't ask you what your goals are. So you keep
saying ones that I have exact opposites to.
Really?
This is perfect. Okay, yeah, go.
So where you go and you're like, hey, and you want to go hire this personal trainer, and they don't even ask you what your goals are. They just assume it's fat loss, and then they put you on a calorie deficit, even though you're like, hey, I want to build muscle and get stronger and get strong bones and this and that. And they're like, no, everybody wants fat loss, and they just automatically put you on a calorie deficit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My green flag for a coach trainer specifically is somebody who asks a lot of questions.
Yes.
You want somebody who asks a lot of questions. And I even sometimes have to apologize. I don't have to. I feel like I need to. You know that game, feeling like you need to apologize. But I'll just be in this loop where I'm constantly asking all these questions. And the reason I'm asking people questions, I'm trying to build an entire picture of not only what their goals are, because there's so much more than that, actually. I want to know what somebody's goals are. First of all, I want to know what somebody thinks their goals are. Tell me the surface level of what you think you want. And then let's go a little deeper and find out what you really want. Because a lot of times they'll say something like, oh, I really want to lose 20 pounds. But when you keep going, it's not just that they want to lose 20 pounds. They want to feel better in their skin. They want to look like they lift. They want to have confidence. And a lot of that's not necessarily going to, they want to have food freedom. They want to be able to, go out to eat and balance that with whole foods. And there's so much more there. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily happen with just a 20-pound weight loss. It could happen with a 5-pound weight loss. And they could be totally in a different place in their body, satisfied, building muscle, all that stuff. So it's finding out what their goals are, but also going way deeper and finding out the real reason, their why behind their goals, what they've tried before, what has worked, what hasn't worked, what their lifestyle looks like, and really helping them redefine their goals a little bit. So when somebody is just asking you a ton of questions, that's a green flag. And if you're not getting any questions and you're trying to hire somebody and they're hardly asking you anything, that's an issue.
Yeah, that was one of my green ones when we were first going to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely ask a lot of, or hire somebody who asks you a lot of questions, cares about what your answers are.
Yeah.
And actually wants to make a plan for you, not just what they assume you want.
Yep.
Yeah. And listens to you. If you're like, I don't want this,
Yep.
No, this is what you're doing because don't you want to be in a calorie deficit? Anyway,
everybody does.
Everybody does, don't they? All year round too.
Isn't that the point of
right?
Fitness?
Just always be losing weight.
Forever.
Forever.
Until you reach the weight you were born at.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I can't. I feel like it's going to be one of those days where I just can't get back on topic and I'm just going to laugh the entire time. Do you remember that yes. One episode? Sometimes I go back and I listen to that just for fun. Because
which one was it?
It was I didn't listen to the episode, but I have it on Instagram. Like I have the outtakes of it where we put all of it. I put all of it in the clip of me just not keeping it together. I just couldn't get there. It was like 3 minutes of me laughing. All right. Okay. People, this is a red flag, obviously. People pushing detox supplements or fat burners or things like that. Or any kind of like supplements that they say you need a detox or you need this or that. And we talked about this before. Detox shouldn't actually be a dirty word because I think, you can, it is important to detox in quotes, but not the way these people say to do it. So your liver and your kidneys detox you and you don't need to take all these supplements or anything like that to make that happen. But it is a good idea to, when you eat, like if like doing a whole foods challenge or something like that, to give those, to give your liver a little bit of a break and also to give it some of the nutrients that it needs to be able to do its job. And there is some validity to some of the, herbs or something that's in some of these supplements that's good for your liver. But for the most part, it's just a money grab. And just convincing you that you need to do this detox when in reality, you'll be fine. If you focus on eating whole foods, you don't need to do that stuff.
Yeah. Something I've learned when I've had mentors and stuff as a trainer, nutrition coach. One of the main things they say is solve people's problems. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what their problems are, find out what their problems are and then come up with a solution for it and advertise that solution. And that is true in every single thing. And if they can't figure out what your problem is, they'll create a problem and make you think you have it. Right?
Yeah, right.
Because the way you sell things is by providing a solution to a problem. And if that person doesn't already have a problem, then you plant in their head what their problem is. And then you sell them the solution to it, right? And that's what a lot of that stuff is.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to do that. Yeah.
Or preying on a problem that person has, you're preying on it with a solution that doesn't actually fix that problem. So maybe somebody does have digestive issues.
Yeah.
And then you're preying on that exact thing with something that won't actually fix that.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a lot of like MLMs. A lot of people who sell that kind of stuff. It's this kind of stuff.
Well, my green flag that actually goes with that would be a green flag. And it doesn't necessarily mean, well, I'll say it first. A huge green flag would be if that person doesn't work for anybody else. So they're not working for Orange Theory. They're not working for Beachbody. They're not working for Herbalife or selling any of their products. Because I've had so many people before, especially when Beachbody was bigger, clients or possible clients who would be like, okay, so this is like Beachbody, right? So I have to buy the DVD. I'm like, no. Just assuming that when I say I'm a coach, that's what I am. I'm a Beachbody coach or I'm an Herbalife coach. Okay, so, but you have supplements that I need. They'd be on board too. And that would be the part that would make me the most sad is they'd be on board. And then I'd be like, okay. And then, so this is the price per month. Yes. Okay. And then how much extra will it be for the shakes and the supplements? I'm like, no. There's nothing else. What do you mean there's nothing? No, there's nothing else. Well, then what do I do? Like, I was like, you eat like food and drink water. Is there any supplements? I was like, yeah, maybe omega-3s. Like, what?
That must mean that you don't know what you're talking about, Jamie. You don't have the special stuff to give them.
I don't have the special things. And it was mind-blowing. So if somebody doesn't work for anybody else, that's actually a green flag. It doesn't mean that if somebody's working for somebody else, it's automatically bad. So if somebody is a Beachbody coach or, is an Orange Theory trainer or they do sell things, it doesn't automatically mean that. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's an instant red flag. You have to look at what they're pushing and what they're doing. However, it is an instant green flag if you know they don't work for anybody and there's no affiliation there, because you know that their intentions are based on their experience and your goals, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I like that one.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. People who say we all have the same 24 hours in a day and they're a 24-year-old who doesn't have any children and has this is
red flag.
Focus. Red flag.
Or people who say like, if it's a made up holiday and you ate too much, it's your fault.
Yes, she's a red flag. Or they say that, that if you drink soda, you're going to die,
Anything alarming, honestly.
Yeah.
If anything instantly makes you feel scared that something you've been doing your whole entire life is going to kill you or is somehow wrong. Honestly, that's something I didn't even think of until just now. If you feel scared when you watch somebody else's content or want to the point where you might actually hire them because you want to get rid of that fear, there's an issue there.
Yeah.
You don't need to be scared about things like alarmist Instagram reels. If you instantly feel scared or alarmed, very highly likely it's BS. And they're using that tactic to get you to follow them, buy from them, etc.
People usually buy things based on emotions and they get at your emotions, right? So being able to prey on that, make you feel something. Yeah.
Well, a green flag for that was you should feel enlightened and invigorated and excited when you're talking to somebody or about to start a program. You shouldn't be thinking like, oh my God, thank God I'm going to fix this thing that I was doing wrong all along. Like, don't be scared. You should be excited about, taking this path.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody who makes you feel like you need to be perfect. And if you do not follow the plan perfectly, you will not get results.
Yeah.
You need to work out 6 days a week for at least an hour and do cardio.
Yeah, it has to be this. That kind of goes along with like the asking questions or like asking what your goals are, is because the one thing isn't going to necessarily work for everybody. But also that brings into like lifestyle and what you're willing to balance, because you might be talking to somebody who is like a 24-year-old or a 30-year-old even with no kids and they work from home and and you're a busy mom, you and your spouse both have jobs, you got like 3 or 4 kids. And so they might be like, here's this 5-day-a-week program and it doesn't work with your lifestyle. And they're like, if you don't follow it exactly, you're not going to get the results you want. And you come to them saying, you know, I'm a little frustrated at the results. And they're like, well, you missed a workout last week. So you just need to work harder.
You missed one workout. That was it. That's the
if
reason.
You just would just prove that you care about this, then
right.
Then come back to me when it's still not working.
Yes, exactly. Is it my turn?
Yes, because I didn't really have a green one to go along with that.
Okay. Anyone who talks about hacking your metabolism or ice baths will strip fat off your body faster than anything they've ever seen, you know, those kinds of things. You know.
Yeah. Still like buzzwords.
Yeah.
Extreme statements.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything extreme. Agreed.
That's all I got.
That's all you got? All right. I got 2 green flags.
Okay.
Green flag. Well, I don't know if this is a green flag. Let me do this one first. Green flag. Mm-hmm. This is for hiring a coach, hiring a trainer, starting a class, a program, whatever. Your strength training and your cardio are separate. Now, that can be within a class. So let's say it's a boot camp class at the gym. Your strength training and your cardio should be done at separate times of the class. I'm not saying...
I didn't understand at first. I was like thinking, I'm like, okay, you can do them on the same day. I didn't understand. You meant like not cardio with weights. I got it.
Yeah. So if it's a trainer or like a coach and you're hiring somebody to do an individual program, most likely the ideal scenario would be you get your strength training to do on certain days of the week and you have cardio to do on other days of the week. You can do it on the same day as strength training, but there's some, you know, guidelines given. But if it's a class even, it's okay to have strength training and cardio in the same class, but they should not be meshed together where you're bouncing in between using weights, but doing it with a high heart rate. Yeah. In a class, it should be maybe the strength training portion is first, and then the cardio portion comes after. So even CrossFit, technically, the way that it's structured, if you have a good CrossFit trainer, is that you usually do a strength portion first, and then you follow it up with like a workout of the day, like a WOD. You do like some EMOM, you do, you know, all these different things to get your heart rate up. If you're doing a boot camp class in your gym, there should be some focus with strength training with rest periods in between so that you can use heavier weights. And then the cardio comes after. But if you're mixing the cardio within the strength training, if you're doing a Les Mills, whatever, and you're doing the overhead press with the weight, and then you're immediately getting down and doing jumping jacks or burpees or mountain climbers, then what you are doing is you're draining your energy. So you're not going to be able to lift the same weight. And therefore, you're not going to be able to make that progress that they promise that you'll make. And you're just spinning your wheels. So the strength training and cardio should be separate. That's a green flag. You want to see that. When you see that those are separated, that's a good thing.
Yes.
And then my next one is for hiring a coach or a trainer. A green flag would be that they have been in business or have had experience of like multiple years. I'm not going to put a number on it. I'm not going to say at least 3 years or at least 5 years, but I will say the longer that they've been in business or the longer that they've been training, the better, versus looking at their certifications. Yeah. So you can have a trainer that's been doing it for a year and they've got certifications out the yeehaw because they spent the first 10 just getting all these certifications. Because or you could have somebody with like their basic certification and then they went right into training and they have been doing it for a while, especially when we're talking about the online business too. Like the longer that somebody's been in it, the more success that they've had because they've had that practice being able to do it. Yeah. So I would say, because a lot of people will ask me like, well, what are your certifications or what's your whatever? I'll tell them. I don't mind telling them, but I also tell them I've also been doing this for 10 years because that I would argue matters more.
Yeah, I agree. And that I wouldn't say it's a red flag if somebody hasn't been in business very long, because everybody has to start somewhere. So exactly, if maybe someone's brand new, but I wouldn't pay them a lot of money if they're brand new. Like make sure they're giving you a deal. You're kind of like helping them out by giving them more experience.
Yes, I would agree. If you see, so that's another thing that rubs me wrong when when online coaching got really, really big and everybody had like an online coaching mentor, and I was sucked into that too. But these mentors were telling these coaches who were just starting it online and had never even trained people in person before to charge $500 a month.
No.
It is ridiculous.
No.
And they had the right marketing tactics that they were able to get. But then those people, guess where they're at now? They don't have businesses anymore. No. Like those people lasted a year or two and now they're like, oh yeah, that got really tiring. So now I'm doing this. And it's like, because you weren't actually good at it. And yeah. 100%.
Is that all your green flags?
Cool. Those are my green flags.
I think you got all of the ones that I had, because I had some other, I did both. Someone who's encouraging a sustainable approach. I think you talked about that, right?
Touched on it.
Long-term focused. So all about like sustainability and all of that, basically. Coach that listens to you ask questions. A coach who educates you and also gives you reasons to why they recommend things. So if you say, why am I doing this? And they have no answer, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's like, because that's the way I do it with everyone. Sometimes they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So they should have a why to why they're doing something.
That's a good one. I like that one. That's all I got.
Me too.
Cool. Good pod. Red flags and green flags. Keep an eye out for them. If you liked this, like, comment, share. We'd appreciate it so much. And we will see you next week.